Yoo-hoo, welcome back. Finding things to do in London really isn't a difficult task, but what does one do on a chilly 100% chance of rain Monday in February? I don't know, but this is what I like to do. Today I'm taking you to Trafalgar Square, a place that attracts thousands of tourists, protesters, and public event attendees. It has a rather intricate history, full of random, obscure facts that most social media posters are probably completely oblivious to. By the end of this episode, we might have a completely different perspective of Trafalgar Square. Or maybe we won't. Let's find out. Potentially rainy days in London give me the perfect excuse to spend time learning about well-known attractions like Trafalgar Square. I just go there anyways. And I take you with me. The site of Trafalgar Square was originally home to the Royal Mews, or royal stables, from the 14th to 17th centuries. Trafalgar Square was given its name in 1830 in memory of the 1805 Battle of Trafalgar. After the Mews were moved to Buckingham Palace, it was redesigned and officially opened in 1844. Nelson's Column, a focal point of the square, was designed in memory of Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson. That is a mouthful. He died in battle on his ship, the HMS Victory. Random fact. During routine refurbishment in 2006, it was discovered that Nelson's Column is actually 14 feet and 6 inches shorter than it was originally documented. Did nobody think to check the guy's work who originally measured it? No one? It is widely understood that fountains were added to the square in 1845 to take up space and make it harder for protesters and rioters to gather. The fountains were eventually redesigned and unveiled in 1948, the originals being sent off to Canada. Thank you. Next time you're in Ottawa, check one out in Confederation Park. Pigeons. Pigeons have been a source of headache in Trafalgar Square. Old photos, paintings, and memories of Londoners hint at a very healthy pigeon population, but today it's rare to even see one. Feeding pigeons has been banned and finable in Trafalgar Square since 2003. Trafalgar Square is now patrolled by Harris hawks, and you might even be able to catch a glimpse of one if you visit around 7 a.m. Monday to Friday. If you Google London and you zoom in, you will notice that the Google pin is located precisely on this random pedestrian crossing south of the Charles I statue. In accordance with rule number 13 of the Rules of London, according to Londoners, we are preparing for rain, even though the sun is shining and the skies are blue. You didn't think I'd forget about you, did you? The closest tube station to Trafalgar Square is Charing Cross, and when you come up through the station exit, you're right there in the heart of London. At least you are according to Google. I really leveled up my stranger game during this London adventure. You see, I told somebody what I'm about to tell you, and they said, okay, now you really need to sit in front of that lion and include it in your episode. Thank you, stranger. I've saved the best obscure facts for last, and in about 30 seconds, I'm gonna recommend that you put down your tea and biscuits. The 4 bronze lion statues were added in 1867, designed by Sir Edward Landseer, who, by the way, was not the most accomplished of sculptors. Our man Edward spent a lot of time, years, looking at photos of and stalking lions at the London Zoo. He decided that this was not working. He wasn't really making any progress, 2 years later, a lion died at the London Zoo, and he convinced the zoo to give it to him. If you look at the paws of the lions, you might notice that they don't look particularly ferocious or even lifelike. Why is that? Well, what happens when you keep a lion corpse in a studio for extended periods of time? Those be some funky looking paws. After more than a decade of funding issues and design challenges, the lions were cast from bronze cannons seized from French and Spanish ships during the Battle of Trafalgar. Legend has it that if Big Ben were to ever chime 13 times, all 4 lions will awaken from their slumber. Best to count the chimes if you're in the area. Our final obscure fact about Trafalgar Square is that it houses the smallest police station in London. In response to increasing protests in the square, a police box was set up just before the start of World War I. During the general strike of 1926, this box was upgraded to a permanent structure. It was even equipped with a light on the top that would, go off, indicating that the mob was becoming unruly and reinforcements were being called in. I don't know about you, but if I was a lone police officer in a box surrounded by protesters, I can't say that I'd want a beacon of light above my head letting everybody know that I'm the one responsible for calling in reinforcements. No. While in the area, I visited 2 places that really upped the enjoyment level. The National Gallery is pricier and busier than others I've attended, but it really is well worth the visit. The building itself is stunning, and although the layout is a tad confusing, you go through room after room of incredible collections of art. We're talking Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Monet, Picasso, Sandro Botticelli. I didn't even know who he was either until after I watched Medici on Netflix. But I did know about this painting, which I sat in front of and studied for a nerdy amount of time. I finished my visit with a walk out onto the south-facing terrace, which has a pretty great view of Trafalgar Square. About the point when I realized what time it was and decided to head over to one of London's hidden cafes. It's located in the crypts below St. Martin's in the Fields Church. It's a buffet-style cafe serving a variety of freshly prepared options with mediocre but reasonably priced coffee in an incredibly unique setting. I finished off my very late lunch with a moment of solitude in the church pews. If museums and church crypts aren't your thing, head on over to Horse Guards Parade in St. James Park. It's a great place for a walk. Just watch out for pesky stones in your boot and road apples. You can also see the quintessentially London Horse Guards on Whitehall Road and giggle to yourself as tourists try to make them laugh. I hope you've enjoyed learning about and exploring Trafalgar Square with me today. Thank you for joining me for another episode of A Canadian Abroad. Next week, we're getting out of London, or at least that's the plan. Until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week.